Wedding Buzz. It's your host, Sydney, and I have my favorite guest of all time. I have my husband here. You guys have not met him yet. His name is Bryce. Hi, Bryce.
Hi. Thank you for having me on today.
Thanks for coming. I've been wanting
to... It is my pleasure.
We're going to get started being super awkward. I feel like weird saying Bryce because I always call you babe. But anyway, I've wanted to have you on for a while now. Work schedules just hasn't worked out, but you know, you went through the wedding planning process with me. You hear a lot about weddings because of me. Mm-hmm. So I thought it would be fun to have you on and dive into your perspective of weddings. So I did come up with a list of questions that I wanted to talk to you about. And I give my guests kind of a heads up of what we're going to talk about, but I didn't give you a heads up. I'm
more of a game time player. I don't really practice that well.
That's true. All right. So to those listening, I want to start out. Your fiance might have a total different opinion than Bryce. They might be really into the wedding planning. They might be not into the wedding planning, and that's totally fine. We're just getting Bryce's opinion on things, which you usually have strong opinions. So, all right, let's dive in. How did you know that we're going to go back to proposal. How did you know that you were ready to propose?
In our case, it was kind of special, but when I'll say as just like a blank statement. You know, they say when you know, and I knew, some things had happened, and it kind of led to us meeting, and then, promotions and things like that. I'm like, all right, well, it's financially feasible now to, be able to be married, and that made sense at the time. And then I met you, and I knew. I don't know if it's the same way for everyone, but, like I said, when you know, and then I don't know if I have a heightened sense of that or not, but whenever I know something to be a fact, it usually is a fact. I don't know if I'm just really that smart, but, things fell into place. And
I am not laughing at you because I honestly feel the same way. Like if I were to explain, like, why did I say yes to getting engaged? Like, I just kind of knew like that we were going to do it. Money doesn't necessarily is not the only reason, but like we were at that place in our lives where I was like even before I met you, I was like, okay, like I'm ready to settle down and whatnot. And I guess you were kind of at that place too. And then we met and it just worked.
Yeah. It's good to be financially ready to be married, but you also have to find the right person as well. And then you have to be able to look at it and say, okay, well, this box is checked. You want to have like a pros and cons list or a check box, and do they check the box of what you're looking for in a person? And you both kind of have to be on the same page about a lot of things, because if you have different political views or religious views or something like that, it's not going to work, especially, for me personally, like she said, opinion. This is all very subjective, not objective, but if you have different upbringings or different morals or different outlooks on life, you may run into some compatibility issues, but all the boxes, quote unquote boxes, were checked. We agreed on just about everything, so it made sense. And you just kind of get a feeling of, okay, well, this is the right one, and this is the time, and all the cookies crumbled and all the dominoes lined up, and it kind of just said, all right, well, this is it.
Yeah, I agree. We kind of, everything, all the boxes were checked. We agreed on like religious views, political views, and I think that does make a big difference. Mm-hmm. Were you worried I'd say no?
No.
You went into it strong, confident? Yeah? Okay, so the very next thing you did after you proposed was text your buddies. You want to share what you did?
What my text message to them said?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
No.
You sent your buddies a group text without talking to me.
Well, I'm
Like 2
pretty sure
seconds.
I'm pretty sure I let them know I was going to do it.
Like
and that they
beforehand?
were already going to be groomsmen.
You sent them a text that said, like, got engaged. You're all the best men.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, we can get into the fallings out later, but
Is that how you would, if you would do it again, would you ask them to be in the wedding that way?
well, A, I'm never getting married again, but B, I'm of the opinion that you really only need a handful of friends because you can have a lot of acquaintances, but there's those few friends that will stick by your side no matter what. So that's why I kind of said, you're all the best men.
You did. And then the other funny thing that you did is I did urge you to do like actual nice things to ask them.
Yeah, I was okay with just the text, but
Do you remember what you put in the proposal boxes?
I do remember. I don't know if it was kind of still in trend anymore, but I did ice all of the groomsmen whenever I gave them the box.
You
to
did.
be the groomsman box.
You did. Your poor
Which
friend.
that's really, for all the grooms out there, you'll probably never even care about that. You'll probably be okay with just the text, but your fiance will say, oh, you have to put a gift box together. So.
Can you guys tell how thrilled he was about this, even a couple years later? So while we're talking about gift boxes, we also got the groomsmen gift boxes for the wedding.
We did.
Do you want to talk about like what we did? And then you've been now a groom and a groomsman, and you've given these boxes, you've received these boxes. Do you have any like pros, cons, what you like, what you don't like, what some good ideas are? And do you guys actually care about it? Like, when you've been a groomsman and you got stuff?
I wouldn't have been offended if I didn't get anything, but if you're friends, you probably already have similar interests and similar likes. So like if you want cigar cutters, you want cigars, if you want flasks, if you want, I don't know, bottles of whiskey or something, you know what your buddies like. So you can put something together like that. If they like fishing, put fishing stuff in there. You could do whatever you want. I don't know. Just put guy stuff in there.
Put there's the wise words, guys. Put guy stuff in there.
Yeah, it's for the boys. So
it's for the boys. Anyway, I think what's the gist? That it's a nice gesture. You don't necessarily expect it. Doesn't have to be there.
Yeah, it's a nice gesture. And if you want to put stuff in there that's useful for the wedding day, you could kind of have 2 in 1. If you want to put pocket squares in there so they can put it in their suit
That's
or tux, you could do that.
I always recommend that, even for the bridesmaids. If you want like matching outfits for getting ready, put it in their little goodie bags.
Taylor Swift friendship bracelets or something like that, you could put it in there for the bridesmaids, I guess.
That would be a good idea. That actually would be really cute. You put American flag socks for all the guys, and they wore them.
I did. And then we had little tomahawks with their names. Did we do flasks?
No, we did whiskey glasses etched.
Oh, yeah.
Glass and etched. I probably
went
overboard.
Also for my dad and your dad as well. We did
Yeah.
kind of like the same box. I think they wore the same socks.
We did give the dads kind of the same gifts as the groomsmen, and then the moms the same gifts as the bridesmaids, plus more. Like we did what the bridesmaids got plus extra for the moms, and then what the groomsmen got plus extra for the dads.
Yeah, if there's something specific you want the groomsmen to wear, even though it might not be a gift, but if you put it in a gift box, I guess it kind of seems like it's a gift, but then they all wear it the day of too. So
Yeah.
You could do watches, I guess, something like that.
It could be.
I don't know.
Sounds expensive, but maybe like one nice gift instead of a bunch of little stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A watch and some socks would work.
All right. So for the whole planning process, would you say that you were involved, and did you want to be involved?
When we got engaged, I made a separate card on my Amex account, and I said, if there's something that you want, here you go, have at it. But I guess to each their own. I threw in a couple suggestions. You used a few. Locations, you didn't like my locations.
Yeah, what was your location?
Well, one would have been Hemingway's house in Key West because I wanted it to be kind of like a James Bond License to Kill kind of vibe if we were all going to be in tuxedos. But you didn't go for that. And then I said Worldwide Sportsman, which is the Bass Pro Shop in Island Mirada, which is very nice. And you didn't go for that either. So
Were you upset that I didn't go for this?
I didn't care.
You didn't care.
I still don't.
They are nice venues. It's just not really what I pictured, I guess.
Yeah.
How would you advise brides to include their fiance without overwhelming them if they're not really into it?
I don't want to say it's a loaded question. I would say 9 out of 10 grooms don't care because men don't grow up and spend their whole lives dreaming about their wedding day. Mm-hmm. So you told me not to say it, but it is the bride's day. I mean, you're there and obviously you want to enjoy it and have a good time, but I would almost phrase it as asking the groom what to do or what little bits of advice. I don't think brides will spend a whole lot of time working on their groom and asking them what do you want?
Well, I think that a lot of brides want their groom to be really involved and then get upset that they're not involved. And I always kind of say, like, involve them in what they care about and then just, like, keep
bar, DJ, and things like that. You can have the groom either plan or give suggestions for.
Which I was going to ask you, what did you really care about while planning? Tough question.
I
did not force him to be here, by the way.
I didn't have to think about a whole lot because you knew everything that you wanted down to a T. Besides the flowers, I don't think I really gave a whole lot of input because I wanted white roses, right?
You did. You did have that suggestion, and I went with it.
Would you have thought of that if I didn't suggest it?
I might have added like a little bit of color. I do like pretty like neutrals, but I might have added a little bit of color, like pastel colors, and I think I did the all white because of you.
Yeah, I think that was my one input, but
you did want I definitely was like, Bryce wants all white, and like I'm okay with it. So
yeah, and the bar is important, but the father of the bride, not only traditionally do they pay for it, but that your dad had inputs into that as well. Mm-hmm. So I mean, your dad and I agreed on that. I don't care, and that's.
You really.
I didn't care about the bar. I mean, if I wanted something specific, we had, we didn't use them beforehand, but we had flasks. If I wanted something specific, I could have put it in a flask and put it in my jacket pocket and something like that.
Yeah. But we had an open bar. Yeah, you really didn't, I guess. You cared about, I guess, the fact that there was an open bar.
Yeah.
The food. What do you think about the food?
The food was good. That's probably something you should both. It's something both bride and groom could have input on, and it's probably important because the groom will know what his family and guests would want, and the bride will know what her family and friends
That's true.
would want.
Different families might have like different cultural backgrounds and different expectations, and so it's probably good to include his opinion. I surprised you. Do you remember that? Don't remember.
With the CO2 gun, or?
Oh, I did surprise you with that. I surprised you with mac and cheese.
I thought that was already going to be there. So
no, you were the only one that got mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Other than the 2 children at the wedding.
And that's one thing I don't remember. I don't remember eating because we can get into this later. It all goes by so fast that I think I just scarfed some food down. That's one thing I didn't pay attention to, was just eating enough food to not pass out and then go back to it.
It is a very busy night. So
I don't know if I even realized that I had mac and cheese and no one else did.
Yeah, no, I especially requested you to have mac and cheese.
Well, thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. I thought you knew that was only you.
I don't know. Did you tell me this?
Probably the night of, but a lot was going on.
Yeah.
So going into the wedding, how were you feeling going into it? Were you worried about it? Were you chill about it? Did it turn out better than you expected, worse than you expected?
The day of, or the weeks and months leading up to it?
I guess all of it, because maybe you have an opinion on this.
Well, I mean, I would say I was actively involved in the planning, but that just meant I'd listened to what you said you were doing. So I knew that there was a plan in place and everything was going to be set up. And you gave us the timeline down to, I think it was 15-minute increments. So we had a plan and we executed the plan. And we probably had contingencies in place if something were to arrive. But I wasn't worried. I mean, day of, the groomsmen and I and my dad and your dad were just in the room hanging out. We had food delivered. Even for the rehearsal dinner, we had a rehearsal lunch and a rehearsal dinner. Everything was already planned, so I didn't
Did you
have
trust
to worry.
me? Did you trust that I had everything covered?
I did trust that you had everything covered.
Or I just
Plus,
talked
it wasn't
so much that I told you 10 times that I had everything covered.
Yeah, not only that, plus it was, I wouldn't say it was a destination wedding, but it was not in our hometown. So we already had plans of going there and what we were going to do. So I wasn't worried. And then day of, I was in the room and I looked like Hugh Hefner. I had my slippers on, my socks, and my robe, and we were just hanging out, watching movies, and then we were eating the food that was delivered to us. And then Hunter came in and took our pictures. We got ready, and then we went to the wedding. So we just looked at the schedule and all right, it's 10:15. We do this. It's 10:25. We do this.
I've said this before, but I did print out the schedule, which I personally think that makes a huge difference, because if you text people the schedule, okay, they look at it and then they forget about it. When you have printed copies around the room, someone's got to look at it. Oh, what's this paper? Oh, there's the schedule. It's easy access. Their phone's not in another room or whatever.
Yeah, everyone did have a schedule. My dad and your dad, so father of the bride, father of the groom, were both there, I guess, as chaperones. I don't think we really would have needed chaperones, but that is something helpful if your groom does like to have a good time, and his buddies, which I would say probably 7 out of 10 times, if they're left to their own, they will be late, or they will be too drunk, or they will be not ready. So, I mean, your dad and my dad were there, but, we knew, well, I also knew that I would never live it down and I'd have to listen to it for the rest of my life if I was late to the wedding like my dad. So,
your dad was late to the wedding, and he hasn't lived it down. Your mom is still angry about it.
Yeah. So as context, I think one of my dad's groomsmen, his shoes were giving him blisters. So I guess they all loaded up and they went to go get Band-Aids. And on the way back, which I don't know if you listened to the story or if you had already planned ahead anyway. On the way back from getting Band-Aids, they stopped at McDonald's, and then who knows where else they went. And they were really late. Everyone had already been seated, and my mom was waiting. Everyone was waiting on the groomsmen, and they were very late.
Yeah.
The ceremony, the whole entire ceremony should have probably been over with by well before they got back. So
Yeah, I think I already would have wanted. My dad's chaperoning sounds terrible, but I mean, you said like 7 out of 10 guys or whatever would probably want to go have a good time and drink, and they see the wedding day as like a fun party day, and not like I did trust you because I knew that I had expressed to you that like if you're drunk going into the ceremony, like it's going to ruin our wedding day, and I knew that like I trusted that you wouldn't do that to me.
Yeah.
But I didn't necessarily trust all the groomsmen, and so I did. I was like, "Hey, Dad, can you please make sure these boys are in line and on time and dressed?"
Yeah, my dad had already learned his lesson. If I cuss, can you like bleep it out, or do we do that, or no? No. Well, I'll just say, I guess my dad. I'll put it like this: my dad had already learned his lesson, so I guess he was kind of there to make sure that didn't happen again. So
I think that's true. I think your dad was like not gonna let you do what he did, and I think your
which you always say this to me. I think it was kind of out of my dad's hands, and you always say whenever I say, "Well, I couldn't help it," I think that was that was the case in that
with your dad.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
But long story short is make sure the men have food and substance, and they know where they're supposed to be.
That's true.
At a certain time, and you'll be fine.
I would say I think I made it really easy for you guys. Like,
I probably not a lot of weddings, because we've been to weddings before where we didn't have food, and I called you and said, "Can you bring us food?" Because it's a long day, but it goes by very fast, and you want food. You want to. It
is a long day, and it's normal. Everyone's going to get hungry, especially the guys girls are busy getting their hair and their makeup and blah, 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 but guys are just like hanging out.
Yeah, guys have a lot of downtime, and when guys are bored, they want to eat food and they want to drink. And
the wedding that you were a groomsman in, I was just a guest, and guys, he called me and was like, "Please bring us food," and I brought. I don't even know. It was like in a small town. I found like one restaurant that was open, and the groom was like downing cheeseburgers like right before he went down the aisle.
Well, it's also a very special case. He would have been doing ketchup shots if he had the ketchup to do it too. But did you bring food for everyone? Because there was only...
When you were a groomsman?
Yeah, it was me. There were only 3 groomsmen, and so that was a smaller wedding.
It was a smaller wedding. I just got like a few cheeseburgers, a few whatever I could find, and I was like, I don't know, you guys ate it real fast.
Yeah.
So,
and I think you also got cheeseburgers at an Italian place. So
this was a very small town.
Yeah.
There was like one restaurant opened. I did the best I could.
Needless to say, I kind of nibbled on it.
Yeah. But on our wedding day, I did have...
We had more food than we needed. We had more tea, water, lemonade than we needed.
Well, I think my thought process was like, let me provide everything that they could possibly need in this space so that they don't have to go run to the store or this or that.
Yeah, I didn't leave the venue at all except to go to the ATM for cash for our honeymoon. And maybe a razor. I picked up, maybe a brush. I don't know. I only picked up a couple things at Publix once.
Yeah, you went to the store like early that day, and then that was it. Yeah. What meant the most to you on the wedding day?
The vows. That meant the most. The ceremony meant the most. And then I hated the pictures. So
you were so mad during the pictures. Not the whole time, but you were just...
But I also knew, I've always hated pictures, but I also knew that it was your day and you wanted pictures. So I kind of...
Are you glad that we have pictures from our wedding day?
I'm glad we have pictures from our wedding day. It would have been cool to, which I don't like the not a fan of the first look and the pictures beforehand, but it would have been cool to be there during the cocktail hour and stuff.
It's kind of
like
that double-edged sword you have to pick. You have to pick if you want the first look, and then you get to be at the cocktail hour, or no first look, but then you do pictures during.
Or what if you
hour.
do your pictures like a couple months after the wedding? You can do
And that's
that
not
too.
your wedding day.
But if you put your dress and your tux back on and go to the same place.
But then that's like a photo shoot. I'm not I've thought before it'd be really fun to like on our 5-year wedding anniversary, like put my wedding dress back on and like do a photo shoot. But like, I think the point of the wedding pictures is like, that's the day we got married.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that.
Maybe you probably would have been cool with like 10 minutes of pictures, not 40 minutes of pictures.
Yeah.
That's probably it was also like freezing cold on our wedding day.
It was
like in the 30s.
It got down to, I want to say 28.
And this is in Florida, guys. Like it was so cold unexpectedly, which I was okay with because I was afraid to be hot and sweaty. I'd rather be cold, but it was
very cold. Even in the tuxes, the bridesmaids were turning purple. It was very cold, and there was a gust, pretty good gust.
It was a little windy. It was
constantly.
really cold. And then our photographer had us it was in North Florida, kind of central North Florida. Anyway, Claremont, there's hills there. Mm-hmm. And so she had us like climb the hill for the shot, which the pictures are really cool. But I had, if you go look at my Instagram or something, you'll see my wedding dress. I had a big, like poofy, big train and all of that, which was pretty in the pictures. But climbing this hill was
in that and
it was
slick dress
cool.
shoes.
And yeah, your dress shoes were like slippery and stuff. So it was just, you got over the pictures real quick.
Yeah,
so.
I think the hill was the last pictures we took, and at that point I was over it. So
You were over it, but you got through it.
But
It's
your
okay.
miles may vary. So
What?
your miles may vary.
What do you mean?
Like
Their situation.
the bride
might be
and
different.
groom may love having their pictures taken.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
If there's a groom out there that likes that, I don't.
Hey, there might be. I'd say the vows meant the most to me too. Like meaningful wise, that was probably my favorite part of the day. The rest
That
was
maybe
fun.
the send off.
That was fun.
Yeah.
You liked the send. I feel like the send off was like fun, but maybe not the most meaningful part of the day.
Yeah, I would say it's. I mean the dinner. What is that called?
Dinner, speeches? Are you talking about speeches?
Well, yeah, that was good too. The dances, the bride and
Or like our first dance, the
And-
entrances.
yeah, that was. Well, I would say your dance with your dad, and my dance with my mom was
That was nice.
something. So
That was something. I feel like our different personalities are shining in the best way. If there was two of me, this wouldn't work. If there was two of you, it wouldn't work.
well, yeah, this is also a lot different than my podcast too. So
Yeah, you want to plug your podcast?
yeah, you could look it up. It is called the Wet Work Podcast, presented by Fish Like Hell.
Yeah, guys, he has a fishing apparel line, which you're not even wearing your own apparel line right now. You're wearing a different company's fishing shirt, but
So
you're
it's ill
wearing
planned.
you're wearing your hat.
I am wearing my hat.
Your Fish Like Hell hat. If you guys are into fishing, check out Fish Like Hell. And if you're into fishing and what would you say else for your podcast? Military stuff?
No, I would say more guy stuff,
Guy stuff? Well, that's general. Not all
girl stuff,
guy
somewhat.
stuff, girl stuff.
It's people stuff.
Okay, if you're into guy stuff, girl stuff, or people stuff, check out the Wet Work Podcast presented by Fish Like Hell. That is Bryce's company. He actually has like really cool fishing shirts and like designs. So seriously, check it out. If going back to weddings real quick, if you could go back and change anything about our wedding day, would you, and what?
Yes, I would. I would change the DJ in a heartbeat. Other than that, not much.
I have to sneeze. That's why I'm being weird. You want to share why?
It was a classic DJ no request, and if you are listening to this, there is a movie called The Goods, and it's about a used car lot, and it is a very funny movie. And the DJ there, you could look it up on YouTube or whatever. They call him DJ No Request. Basically, you give him a request, and he will play a song that is completely contrary to anything remotely close to what you requested. So our DJ, not only did you give him a set list to follow and play the songs, he didn't play that. He also didn't play any requests from guests or myself until you either had our photographer or our wedding planner.
They were standing together, and I went to them and I was like, ladies, they were like my two right hand, like in my corner women that day. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I need your help because Bryce asked him, and Bryce is going to lose it.
Well, at that point, I was already starting a mutiny. I was going to the guests. So.
Yeah, you're upset, which I was surprised because
could
he
have
was
been
like a
the
really...
DJ myself. I am a very good DJ.
Oh,
so
I didn't know this about
you. That's not completely accurate. But he did not listen to any of our requests, and they weren't off the wall requests. And then he started off with I'm pretty sure I told you I did not want this song played at all at our wedding. The September song.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I can't remember how the song goes because I hate it so much, and I don't want to hear that at my wedding. And that was the very first song he played.
I don't think you told me this.
I can't even remember how the song goes, but yeah, there was one song I'm like, I don't want that played at my wedding at all. And that was the first song he started with. And then it got to a point where he was just playing off the wall music and no one was on the dance floor, which I can't complain because we have been to weddings where it was less than ideal. It was, I'll put it as mildly as I could say, it was worse than our wedding, but it
also,
was.
I've talked to other people who were at our wedding and they were like, what? The DJ was great. There were people on the dance floor for
there were
over
also
a good
times
hour.
where there were people not on the dance floor.
But that's also right when the pizza got brought out.
I don't think so.
I think so.
It was pretty early on.
Okay.
Anyway, the DJ.
That's what you would change.
Or band can kill a vibe.
That is true. That is true. The DJ or band can kill a vibe, which our DJ was
that's not why you go to a wedding. You go for the ceremony, and you go for your friends that are getting married, and you go for the free alcohol and food. And then the DJ is kind of like an added bonus.
Yeah. No, of course. You're there to support your friends.
I would argue if there was no alcohol, there would be no need for a DJ because most people won't dance if they don't have a few drinks. So
depends on the person, but liquid courage definitely helps. Well, I ask everybody on the podcast, I don't know if you have one, but I ask everybody if they have any wedding day horror stories.
Besides the DJ, I don't think so because everything was planned. And I knew what to expect going into it, and I knew I wanted to be there. I don't have any horror stories from our wedding, and if you could go to weddings, if you're planning on getting married soon, and you have some friends where you're like kind of on the fence if you want to go to the wedding or not, if it's within your means, I would say go to the wedding and see what happens there and what unfolds. That way you have a better idea of what to expect, what could happen, either guests and in-laws, your parents, how people react in a group setting. I would say go to other weddings and see what happens because you'll probably learn a thing or two of what could go wrong at a wedding because a lot of weddings.
You do learn a lot as a guest watching and seeing what's happening.
Yeah. So I would say go to other weddings and just see what can happen because, you see a lot of stuff, especially with large groups of people.
I'm going to circle back to the marriage thing. Mm-hmm. One last piece of advice, and then where can listeners find you, which we already kind of plugged you, but one last piece of advice and then plug yourself again.
I have a couple pieces of advice. It kind of applies to the bride, but more so towards the groom and perhaps the groomsmen. Don't drink too much the day of your wedding. It's something that you'll want to remember for the rest of your life. And it's very nice not waking up with a hangover the day after your wedding. And you're probably going to be going somewhere for your honeymoon. Like we were picked up in the morning and we went to the airport and dealt with that. I would say don't drink too much. You can have a good time. Don't drink too much beforehand. You want to remember it. And then my biggest takeaway from the wedding would be the time goes by so fast that you want to remember that it's going to go by really fast. So you want to retain as much as possible and try to remember as much as possible and enjoy every moment of the day, because it's only one day, hopefully for your whole life. And the ceremonies are only 10, 15 minutes. The party is, a couple hours. It goes by very fast. So I would just say, take your time. Know it's going to go by fast and just try to enjoy it as much as possible and remember it as much as possible. And I would also probably say have more video from your wedding. Pictures are great, but sometimes people won't go for the video package in the bundles offered by the photographers. I would say get more video, either from cell phone or camcorder or anything like that. I would say have more video of the day of. Yeah,
that is good advice. I agree. I think videos are always really fun to look back at, which content creation is really popular.
Which I like. You asked me if I like the pictures. I like the pictures, but I like the video.
I feel like the video, we have videos of you goofing off with your groomsmen and stuff, and that's really fun to look at.
But I don't even know if there's audio of that. It's just quick video and then pans to another.
No, I have the whole video. But we also have video of you and I dancing, and not just our first dance, but
I would say get all the video that you can. The best man speech, the bridesmaid, or the matron, or
it goes by so fast, and then I don't remember. You kind of black out during it. You're not going to remember the details of your best man speech or the.
Yeah, and she doesn't mean blackout drunk, but it goes by, like I said, it goes by so fast you don't remember everything. Yeah, I don't remember eating the food or the mac and cheese. You're going to be talking to a lot of people too. And that's something else I would say. I would say
adrenaline blackout, not drunk blackout.
I would say don't worry about going and shaking everyone's hand. Who cares? Don't thank them for coming to the wedding. You can send a card for that. Enjoy. It's your day. Do whatever the hell you want. Don't worry about appeasing people or your guests or your parents' guests or anything like that. Just do whatever you want. Enjoy it and soak it up as much as possible.
I think that's great advice. Well, thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
I've wanted you on for a while, so this was fun.
And this was much shorter than my podcast.
Yeah, yours are 3 hours.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.